It's the Bark Tank, everybody. Unfortunately, not a Victory Monday edition. We are presented by Sugardale. I'm Andrew Siciliano. Thanks for being here, back in the home office. Let's get the good out of the way first. Happy belated Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoyed the time with the family. I mean, we all enjoy time with the family, right? For at least, a meal or two, right? A little bit of time with the family. Good time with the family. Then we got to the football on Sunday. And the Browns lost. We know that by now. We thank you for tuning in, listening, watching, liking, subscribing, sharing, giving a 5-star review, of course, to all of it. Browns lose to the 49ers 26-8, which is just an odd-looking score after what was an odd-looking and feeling game. Browns now fall to 3-9. This ensures there will be no winning season. Granted, they would have had to have run the table. But after the Raider game, and it is one game at a time, obviously, you felt good. You felt really good about the Raider game. Yes, they beat up on a bad team, but they did it in convincing fashion. And there is so much reason for optimism. The defense, the 10 sacks, Miles with the hat trick, obviously. And then offensively, Dylan Sampson, the home run, and Isaiah Bond, the deep shot, finally unlocking the speed in the offense, and obviously the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. Wasn't perfect in Vegas, but you saw it, right? You saw it. And you saw the explosive nature of the offense, what it could be with Shedeur at the helm. You expected to see more of that, and you kind of took not a step backwards, but, hey, a moment where, look, you still got a rookie quarterback, and the Niners are a very good team. They came in as an 8-win team, and yes, they had a short week and a long trip, and yes, Jim Schwartz had done very well in the past against Kyle Shanahan, 8-1 before that one, and for the most part did a good job on Sunday. But it's hard to operate when you're constantly given short fields. It's just impossible. The 3 San Francisco touchdown drives were 16 yards, 18 yards, 32 yards. And even though Myles Garrett and Devin Bush all say, hey, it's our job. It is our job. Sudden change, keep them out of the end zone. Does not matter. Sure. But you can't keep giving the other team short fields because that other team is a good team. That other team has George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk. That other team has weapons. That other team has 8 wins for a reason. And against good teams, you're never going to win that way, ever. Against bad teams, you normally won't, but against good teams, you absolutely will not. And there were special teams errors. That goes without saying, whether it's a muff punt, whether it's a 66-yard return, or whether it's just, honestly, a brain freeze, Malachi Corley fielding that ball and then falling out of bounds. You can, and we've seen strategically other returners do this, you can get to the sideline, put a foot on the white, step out of bounds intentionally, wait for that ball, and then catch it with a foot out of bounds. That is intentionally forcing a kick that might have landed inbounds out of bounds by catching it with your foot out. And if you had done that, he would have been hailed as a genius. But when you field it in play and then you can't hold your balance and then you go out of bounds, that's obviously not the way to do it. You could have been on the 40, you end up on the 5, and then you have to punt 3 plays later with Corey Bojorquez basically standing on the end line in front of the dog pound. And that doesn't fly. You had hoped for some momentum. It has still been 2 years since the Browns won back-to-back games. I know that sounds nuts, but the last time they won back-to-back games was the 4-game heater with Flacco at the end of the 23 season when they eventually won the division on that Thursday night. Not won the division, made the playoffs on that Thursday night, and then got in and then lost Week 18 in Cincinnati with Jeff Driscoll at quarterback and resting most of the starters. But it didn't happen. Let's focus on the positives here. Myles Garrett got sacked 19. Absurd. Myles Garrett also had 2 TFLs to run his NFL best lead to 28. I talked about this with Kevin Stefanski on the pregame show on Sunday. Myles, I think we all agree, is going to break the NFL single-season sack record, 22.5. The single-season TFL record, to me, is more significant. Now, that record is 39, which is just absurd. When Nathan mentioned 39, I did not know that, or I had forgotten that, whatever. either. Doesn't matter. When Nathan mentioned that to Bo on CBD last week, I went, what? But it's true. In J.J. Watt's second season, he had 39 TFLs. Right now, Miles is at 28. It is within reach. It is difficult, though, with 5 games to go. He's going to have to get 2+ per game, but he could do it. Myles Garrett right now, 19 sacks in 12 games. So he extends his franchise record, which had been 18, to 19, and he adds to his lead of most sacks by a player under 30. Myles doesn't turn 30 until the end of December, so he is almost there. Let's tip the cap to Quinshon Judkins as well. He got in for the 2-point conversion. He ran for 91 yards, and right now, Quinshon, and remember, he didn't play week 1. Obviously, I know you haven't forgotten that. He is at 758 yards. He is getting closer to Nick Chubb's rookie record. Chubb had 996. Trent Richardson had 950. Jim Brown had 942. William Run had 887. Quinshon right now needs to average 48 yards per game in the final 5 to get to 1,000. I believe he's going to do it. Carson Schlesinger, 10 more tackles, led the team. He also had a TFL. Carson Schlesinger now, 4 double-digit tackle games, including 3 in a row. Harold Fannin caught the touchdown. He has 51 receptions. The rookie record for the Browns for receptions is Kevin Johnson, KJ, number 85, the second-round pick, back obviously in the expansion, the rebirth in 99. KJ had 66 catches that year. I'll say it right now, Harold Fannin, who needs to average 3 in his final 5, he is going to get to Kevin Johnson at 66. Plenty of good in that game. Shedeur moving up in the pocket on that touchdown, definitely good. That was one of those moments, a 90-yard drive in which you run, you pound on the 49ers. That loosens things up. And then what do? You throw the touchdown, and once again, Harold Fannin broke a couple of tackles. Everyone's focusing on the 4th down play call. Listen, I'm fine with the play call. It didn't work. Probably could have called timeout. So be it. Move on. Going for it and running what they ran, I don't mind it. Harrison Bryant used to run that all the time. So I have zero issue with that whatsoever. The injuries, however, are a bit of a concern. Jack Conklin, concussion protocol. Wyatt Teller will miss at least Week 14 with a calf injury, so expect Tevin Jenkins to slide into the right guard spot. They alternated on Sunday. For Wyatt, it was career start number 100, but then he and Tevin Jenkins alternated series. Interesting at right guard. But the big injury is Malik Collins, who has a quad injury, needs surgery, and he is done for the year. Malik Collins is one of the free agent signings of the entire offseason for any team. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it is true. Obviously, there are some quarterback moves. Sam Darnold in Minnesota, that's a big move. I get it. But in Seattle. Malik Collins has 6.5 sacks. That is a career high. It was a 2-year, $20 million deal, and he has been invaluable, along with Mason Graham and recently Mike Hall. That push in the middle of the line has been fantastic. It's the reason you get 10 sacks a week ago. It's not the only reason Myles Garrett's having a great year. He's Myles Garrett. But you understand it. For years, everyone always said, well, who's going to be the other defensive end? Who's going to be the other guy? Because that other guy should be eating up sacks if everyone's double and triple teaming Myles. Okay, well, we know Alex Wright can play. We know Isaiah McGuire can play. Wright just got his contract well-deserved. But the middle of that line this year, led by Malik Collins, has been the difference maker. 6.5 sacks. I saw him walking out of the stadium last night. Look, he had a smile on his face, not because he was happy, but he realized he couldn't do anything about it, man. You couldn't. And all you can do is pat him on the shoulder and shake his hand and say, I'm sorry. And you'll be back and you'll be better than ever. but like, thank you for being you, and thank you for being that leader. To the young guys like Mason Graham and Mike Hall, and just being an overall leader in that room and in the locker room, Malik Collins will be missed. Here's hoping he is healthy and back with a vengeance next year. As for next week, it's the Tennessee Titans. We could focus on them a little bit later. But now, and I've been wanting this guy on, this week it's special for multiple reasons. I think you know why. Time for this week's guest on the Bark Tank. I have been trying to get this guy in the Bark Tank for a long, long time, but he's the busiest guy in show business, whether it's in Cleveland or Columbus. You got the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. You got T-Bone and Tyvis. He's on the road every week, although that's over for now, with Big Ten Network and friend of the program, Cameron, and always on the road every Saturday. And then he's killing me and Gerard on the UH Cleveland Browns Radio Network, Fact or Fiction. Tyvis Powell, how did you have time to do this show today?
Man, you caught me at a good time. Things are actually starting to slow down. Usually on my Mondays, actually at around this time is when I have to do my Big Ten meeting. But since that's done, I have time for you today. So good job for you.
Yeah. Browns legend Tyvis Powell has time for us today. A week ago, Tyvis, it was Victory Monday and everyone feels good. It is amazing. I know you know this. The binary nature, not only Big Ten football, but the NFL especially. When you win, it feels like you're going to the moon, man.
Yeah.
Everything that week, you got a spring in your step. You're going to win next week. Of course you're going to win next week, right? You got that good thing going. But when you lose, you crash back down to earth. Can you describe the difference between last Monday and this Monday?
I just think that last Monday, you went up, you did a whole week of work in preparation, right? And what you find out in the NFL is it is so hard to win games, especially for young guys. And you think about this Browns roster, there is a bunch of young guys that is playing right now, and they're coming from college where they're used to winning every week. And when you get to the NFL and you see how hard it is and the extra work and the sacrifice and the extra strength and stuff that you have to do in efforts to win games, when you finally do it, you think, oh my goodness, we finally figured out the recipe. You finally think you realize what it takes to win games. Okay. And then you go out there in the next week and you try to repeat that same thing, because all great players have a routine. So you think you finally figured out the routine to be successful, but then you find a way and then you lose a game. And it's so mind blowing because it's like, man, these guys are really good. Like teams are really good. And game plans change from week to week. Opponents is better the next week. And now you're scrambling and trying to figure out what went wrong. And I think that for them this week, that's what happened. They went up against a better opponent, and things that they got away with in other games just don't work. You might be able to make a mistake against the Raiders, but because they're not as good as the 49ers, you can make that mistake and still win. You go up against the 49ers and you see some of those same mistakes, and it hurts you in the long run. You can't get away with those things. And I think that's where they crash back down to reality this week.
Yeah, I always love to – I overuse the phrase both can be true. Like, both can be true. The Browns played well last week, especially defensively. I mean, the 10 sacks, you can never take that away. I mean, that's going to hang on the wall for a long, long time. That was a ridiculous performance. So that is definitely true. Also, the Raiders are just not good. They're not. And like the Chargers, for example, are feeling really good about themselves today. They beat the Raiders. Right? And this is not to make it personal here, but that's a fact, and both can be true. I also think, and Tyvis, I was thinking about this yesterday leaving the stadium, is that in no way do you overlook an 8-win San Francisco team coming to town at all. They're a good team. But you watch them Monday night, and you're like, all right, Brock Purdy threw 3 picks. We beat him here in 23. Their entire defense is banged up. They've got a Monday night, a short week, a red eye. This is a long flight, West Coast to East Coast. Like, this sets up well. And we know what this defense has done against Kyle Shanahan in the past, who's as good a play caller as there is in the NFL. Everybody agrees on that. But hey, Jim Schwartz has had his number, beating him 8 out of 9. All right. I can convince myself, I'm not talking the locker room, I just mean me, everyone else, Browns fans waking up Sunday morning feeling optimistic. Like, I can convince myself this is where you finally get your back-to-back wins for the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of that was my mindset as well. Obviously I played for the 49ers and I was there with Kyle Shanahan and, Robert Saleh was my defensive coordinator. So I'm familiar with everything that goes on over in that San Fran building. But I was with you. I was like, you know what? Jim Schwartz is 8-1 against him. Okay, I like that. The defense is coming off a 10-sack performance. They're clicking on all cylinders. And even when I watched this game, when they went up 8-7, to me, I was like, this is Kevin trying to show you that he doesn't fear the 49ers at all. That going for 2-point conversion, people look at it like, oh, that's just them just doing them. No, that's Kyle. I mean, that's Kevin saying, you know what, Kyle, I'm not afraid of you. This team is not afraid of the 49ers. Yeah.
When they threw the flag, I turned to Nathan on the air and I went, you want to go for two? I'm sorry. Yeah. You want to do this? You want to go for two?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I see the offense coming back out. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it was an aggressive game plan the entire time. And it was Kevin showing that he believed in his guys. And I love that from them.
Yes.
Now, where it took the turn is you can't give up the big long punt return. Okay. That's one. You can't muff punts. That's two. You can't catch the kickoff return on the 5-yard line and run out of bounds. You can't fumble it on 4th and 1 on a quarterback sneak. It's just like, it's little things like that. A whole unit on special teams just kind of didn't show up for yesterday's game for whatever reason. I don't know what that's about. It's something that obviously it cost us 2 games before. Get into this one, making it 3 games. It's an issue. We have to address that issue. And then on the 4th and 1, I didn't like that one because I liked the call. I liked the 4th and 1. I had no problem with the quarterback sneak. But if you go back and watch that play, it took too long to get people on the field.
Had to call timeout.
Then the ref held up for a second. Then Harold Fannin had to rush under there and snap. It just, in the cold and windy conditions, it was too much. You call timeout, you reset, get everybody going, make it clear, then you run that play. So I think that the process to calling to the snap was too much and too overwhelming, and that's what happened on that play.
And you saw Wyatt standing there, Wyatt Teller, 2 steps onto the field, like helmet on or helmet off, like am I in or am I out?
Yeah.
There had been Jack's injury, and then, you have Leviston in at right tackle, and there was a substitution question here, and they had trouble getting lined up, and I had no problem with the play call either. And I think, honestly, it's a red herring. There are a lot of questions to Kevin after the game, and even on Monday as well about the play call, and questions to Harold, like, had you ever done that before? Had you practiced that before? Yes, they had practiced it, okay? I have no problem with the play call. The more you can get the ball into Harold Fannon's hands, I am all for that. That is fine.
Yeah.
It's an issue if you should probably call timeout. And they're in the huddle, and Nathan and I are calling it. I'm like, hey, they're probably going to have to call timeout. They're in the huddle still at like 12, and Wyatt's over there like holding his helmet, and like, all right. Nathan goes, they're going to have to call timeout. And then they broke the huddle at like 10. I'm like, no. I think they got it. I think they got it. And they run to the line. And then, as you said, the official standing in there so the Niners can substitute. And it's like 9, 8, 7. Like, you're going to call timeout? You're going to call timeout? No, they didn't. To me, the question is the timeout, not the play call. I'm with you. The play call was totally fine. No problem with it.
And then for people that's saying, like, why have a tight end in that situation? Well, the Ravens do the same thing. Mark Andrews does it all the time. I mean, he took it to the house.
Harrison Bryant did it all the time.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, it's not something that's completely foreign. The only reason people have a problem with it is because it didn't work.
Correct.
That's where the problem. If he would have got the first down, people would have. That's a great call. Great player. Harold Fannin is one of the best guys I've seen. After contact, he keeps his feet moving. In that situation, that's where you want to have the ball. It's just all about the quarterback center exchange on that. When he gets a clean exchange, they probably get that first down.
Yeah, and if you go back to 2023 when the Niners came in here, Niners were undefeated, 5-0. Brock Purdy had never lost a regular season game. I believe they'd won 15 consecutive regular season games, all that. If memory serves, Harrison Bryant in the red zone going to the west end zone, took a snap and pitched it to Kareem. and Kareem ran it in. So, I mean, they've run it plenty of times with the tight end up under center. I've got no problem with that. Hey, special teams, let's talk about that. Grant Delpit made a comment afterwards, and he has kind of said this in the past as well. Others have intimated it. Gerard has intimated it down to the sideline, and obviously we know how good of a special teams player he was. Talks about effort, and this is not me saying guys aren't trying hard, but special teams, Tyvis, is a lot about attitude.
Yes.
What do you see with these special teams breakdowns?
So my issue with the special teams right now is when you look at it, every team has a good core group of special teams guys. There's usually 2 or 3 guys that you put on your roster that is strictly there for special teams, right? And everybody on that unit knows that these are the guys. And you need that there because those guys hold everybody else accountable because special teams is their life. That's the way they're in the league because they can make plays, right? And when I look at this roster, I feel like we lack that in that area right now. And how I know that's a thing is because when people look at special teams is nothing but an all-out effort for one play. That's all it is. You go out there and you give 100 maximum effort for just one play. And if you do that, more times than not, you make a big-time play. I think right now we look at special teams as just a play. And I don't like that approach to it. And the reason I say that is because people aren't running down there with intent. You got to have structure on what you're doing. Meaning when you're on punt, right, and the ball is punted out, it's a fan out from that line. You got the gunners that's giving 100% effort to go down there right now. The rest of them fan out, and you have to fan the field, meaning everybody has a lane, and you have to dominate that lane. You don't let nobody push you out of that lane. And when you get to the returner, you do what we call cupping the returner, meaning by the time everybody get there, it should be a wall like this. So the guy can't get around nobody. He just has to go straight into it and everybody tackles him. So many times I'm seeing guys too lackadaisical getting down the field. They're getting held up. Did you know that if you hold up a guy on the line of scrimmage, for every second that you hold him up, that's equivalent to 10 yards on a return. So we have to do a better job of shocking, shedding, and getting down the field. And then we have to cup these athletes and make sure that we don't create a seam for these guys to get through, because I think that's the problem. These returners are starting one way, setting up blocks, and then putting their foot in the ground and going straight vertical. And it's creating these seams. And if you're getting down the field and defeating your block and stacking, that's the most important term that anybody needs to learn. When you defeat your man down the field, you have to stack him, meaning you get right in front of him so he can't do anything to you but push you in the back to give you a penalty. We have to do a better job of stacking and cupping the athlete. If we do that, we will never give up these returns. And that comes from all-out effort. And I just feel like we're not having that intent right now. So what I think needs to happen is teams typically take things seriously that a head coach is paying attention to. Kevin, I know he's giving up play calling. I know he's still a part of the offense, but he has to take some of those times to go down there and be with that special teams unit. If we're doing kickoff, you need to be running the kickoff drill. You need to be running the punt drill, because these players have to see like, oh, this is serious. The head coach is dead serious about this. I had the luxury of doing this when I played in college. Actually, Urban Meyer ran the punt team. And I promise you, Andrew, punt was taken more seriously than anything on offense and defense. If you messed up punt, it was the end of the world. And everybody took it so seriously because Urban ran that meeting and it was his unit. I think Kevin can have that same effect if he just takes the time to go down there, not necessarily replacing Bubba Ventrone, because Bubba Ventrone is the special teams coordinator. Just being there helping, saying things in drills, saying what you see, talking to players, pulling them to the side while we're in practice doing these drills. I think if you do that, that makes those players take that just a tad bit seriously.
All right, perfect transition. You got me there by mentioning Urban. You were in Ann Arbor on Saturday. You stayed for the game, right? You didn't. Okay,
Yes,
so you're there doing the pregame, or you're doing the Big Ten tailgate show, obviously on Big Ten Network. What was your level of anxiety? Be honest. Now that it's over, now that they won, what was your level of anxiety in the first quarter after that pick?
So I was standing right there on the sideline. He threw the pick. and I was sitting there and I was talking to Mike Thomas, and I looked right at Mike and I said, "Don't panic, don't panic, don't fret." This was the weirdest I've ever been about this game. So all week I've been telling everybody I was extremely confident. Like, I didn't have not 1 ounce of doubt, right? And even last year, I was very confident going into the game. But when I woke up that morning, I can't lie. Last year, I had this pit in my stomach where I felt like nervous about the game. And I don't know why, but I was kind of nervous about the game. But I was like, you know what? I ain't worried about that. Obviously, they lose that game. This year, I promise you, as God is my witness, I had not 1 ounce of doubt in the entire day. Even after the pick, I was not worried about it at all, because the thing about the game, me being a former player and playing in it, I know what it involves. There's so much that goes into it. And it's different for them because Ryan Day has moved a lot of the traditions off the week. Like, they don't have senior tackle. They don't have the band. They don't have Earl Bruce, rest his soul. He doesn't come and talk to the team anymore. They don't have those things that go into that week to where we did. So I had all these extra things, and Thanksgiving was in that week as well. They don't have none of that. So their focus is only on the game. When I was there, what I noticed is, again, there's so much outside attention. When you get on the field, there's so much chirping that's going on. There's so much physicality where they're doing cheap stuff after the play and just all of that. And what I learned is, once you settle in, the team that settles into the game and just quiets the noise will ultimately always be successful in that game. And after they threw that pick, when they came to the sideline, mind you, I'm standing right there. Everybody was calm. It was like just this calm feeling on that team. And I was like, oh yeah, I think they figured it out. So obviously, the next drive, they go down there, they punch it in, they score, which it was weird because they got down to the goal line and they had the goal line stand. You think Julian gets in on the sneak, and then you see his knee is down. So it's like, darn. Then they come out there on the 4th down play. They run the play action. Beautiful. It was a beautiful play action. Jelani Thurman's wide open touchdown, penalty. So I'm just sitting there like, okay, this is crazy that this is going on. They kicked the field goal. But to me, I just love the confidence. And then obviously Jeremiah Smith catches the touchdown, which was on a 4th down play, which it took some stones to be able to call.
He kind of caught a touchdown.
Listen, don't do this. I done went back and watched this play like 15 times.
I don't think you could overturn it. I'm with you.
No, exactly. It was a he caught the ball, secured it. Once he got there, it was a little bobble of it, but I feel like he had already broke the plane before the bobble. So
okay,
whatever.
We could agree. We could agree there. We could also agree that it was the first time ever I've seen a player intentionally headbutt a referee and not get ejected.
Yeah, it was wild. I was shocked that he didn't get thrown out of that game, because you know how these referees is. They look for moments, and it literally hit his nose. So I'm like, I can't believe.
You were like, bam!
Yeah, it was a wild time. But again, there's just so much that go into it. But I love the fact that the game plan was what it was. In the past, it's always been about this toughness and physicality. And I feel like Ryan Day didn't buy into that narrative. He was like, you know what? We passed the ball well. We got guys that they can't cover. We're going to utilize those guys. And then in the second half, we're going to then bring out the physicality. And that's exactly what they did. And there was nothing that the Wolverines could do.
All right, last thing, and I promise and I appreciate all your time here. I've held you longer than I said I would. For Buckeye fans or for Browns fans or for whomever, but let's angle it to Browns fans here. And I realize there's obviously plenty of crossover. Getting ready for Indiana, looking at Francisco Mendoza, which is a name we're going to be talking about all spring.
Fernando yes. Mendoza.
What did I say?
Francisco.
Oh, I said Francisco. I'm sorry. My apologies. All right. Hey, Gabe, cut that. No, I'm kidding. Fernando Mendoza. Thank you. I'm kidding. Because we're going to be talking about him all spring, clearly.
Yeah.
What is the number one thing you like about him? What is the one thing you don't like about him?
I like the fact that he's very poised in situations. He knows, he does what it takes to win games, whatever that is. I go back to the Oregon game, because the Oregon game was the first game that I realized Indiana is a for real team. If you go back to there, if you look at his stats, it's not eye popping. It's not, oh, he threw for 350 yards or something like. It's none of that. It's the fact that he realized that situation on critical downs. I'm not known for being this mobile guy, but he did it.
He's not.
He did it in those big moments. He knew what it took to move the chains. You go back to the Penn State game where he was down. He struggled a lot that game. But in that one moment where he had to have it, he figured out what he needed to do. I think he went, 3 for 3 or 4 for 4 through a game-winning touchdown. I love the fact that you can't count that kid out. That kid does find a way. He has a winner's mentality. He wants to win. He's if you get to know him and get to talk to him on the side, he's kind of odd, meaning he's so locked into the game of football that he comes off as weird sometimes. And I think I like that from him for some odd reason. The thing that I don't like about him is that he doesn't always play big for an entire game. You know, like for the Penn State game, it took them to go down for him to play big. I didn't like that. I wanted him to be dominant for 4 quarters. I think that, to me, I want him to be more consistent in big games. That's what I would say.
I thought you were going to say he is so immobile that at times he looks like Bernie Kosar running around back there.
If you're going to be immobile, you better make sure you get that ball out your hand. And he does a great job of doing that too.
He does. I want to commend you for wearing the Guardians hat and the Cavs sweatshirt. I generally have a rule that I'm not going to wear 2 different teams in the same getup, but you pull that off well.
Well, one, I will always wear a Guardians hat no matter what.
Same.
That's just who I am. I don't wear like Browns hats or Ohio State hats. It has to be a Guardians hat. And then the Cavs is just because I'm upset that they lost yesterday, but like, I got faith in them this year, so.
Totally. I have probably down in my closet down the hall, I probably have 15 to 20 different Tribe and or Guardians hats, at least. like minor league caps. Like when I was doing minor league baseball when I was like 20 years old, like the Watertown Indians. I had like all these random hats.
Really?
Yeah, but I left my favorite Browns hat on a plane a couple of weeks ago. Not that I don't like, just like this one. This is the kind of one that Kevin wears, but he usually got the trucker one. I got the fitted one. But
you better than me. If I leave my favorite hat, I'm going back on that plane to go get that. I can't.
Oh, I didn't realize until I was like 2/3 of the way home, and then you go like, oh man. So I gotta get a new one. Not there's anything wrong with this one, which is available at clevelandbrowns.com and nflshop.com. Go get yours today. Tyvis, we appreciate you. Thanks for making the time, man. Truly. Are you going to go to Indy or not? I know you're not working, but are you going to go?
No.
No? Okay. Enjoy the time on the couch with the family, man. And I will see you next week. I appreciate you. All right. Time for What's Sizzling, presented by Sugardale. As we go around the AFC North, what's sizzling in Pittsburgh is nothing. What if I told you they booed Renegade on Sunday? Really, they did. They booed Renegade because it's not a good song. No, because the Steelers were losing and giving up well over 200 yards on the ground to James Cook and the Bills, and they were beaten badly. And there was a Fire Tomlin chant after the game. Aaron Rodgers was sacked by Joey Bosa, aggravated that left wrist injury, and also had a bloodied and maybe even broken nose. The Steelers are not out of it in any shape or form. They are now 6-6, and they go on the road to face the Ravens, who are 6-6, with an extra time to prepare because they played Thursday night. They lost to the Bengals. So it is a battle for first in the AFC North between 2 6-win teams in week 14, because we all saw that coming. Meantime, the Bengals somehow are not out of it. Now, granted, they're not really in it, but they're not out of it, because you have to assume that somebody will win in Baltimore on Sunday, and that somebody will then have 7 wins. The Bengals go to Buffalo to face who are they, Bills, but they are 8-4. And they've beaten the Steelers and the Chiefs, and they've lost games that they should have won. But all that said, if the Bengals were to find a way to win, they'd be 5-8. And then the Bengals would be 2 games back again of whomever wins between Baltimore or Pittsburgh. Obviously, Joe Burrow came back on Thanksgiving night, led the Bengals to victory. And Lamar Jackson and the Ravens kept turning the ball over, and now they're kind of in crisis mode here. Browns, as I mentioned, they face the Titans. We are back at home at Huntington Bank Field for a 1 p.m. kick, hopefully with a little better weather than last week. Next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I say Eastern because not all of you are listening to this show in Northeast Ohio. We're looking forward to seeing everyone back at Huntington Bank Field. Looking forward to seeing Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward battle. I mean, for all those pre-draft videos, the two of them working out together, getting a good friendship going, right? Great to see them get back together. And that'll be a cool game, obviously with implications for quarterback development. Looking ahead to next April as well. Implications is, get what I'm saying? So that one should be fun. And the Browns are in position to get a win there. They were in position to get a win this week. Obviously, it did not happen. Regardless, thank you for listening and watching the Bark Tank here, presented by Sugardale. Thanks to Tyvis Powell for joining us. Tyvis back on our pregame show Sunday as well as we play the Fact or Fiction game along with Andy Baskin and Gerard. I still do not know what Baskin is doing. He makes the whole thing up. Like, I just don't know. He just makes it up. Imagine playing a game in which you don't know what the rules are. The guy asking the questions is making it up. Like, imagine going on Jeopardy or any of the quiz shows, and the person answering or asking the questions will determine if you have the right answer and then just make up the scoring however he feels fit. Would that show work on TV? Anyway, didn't think so. My name is Andrew Siciliano. This is the Bark Tank Friends. So long. See you next week.